Welcome back to Sports Hop. It's your boy Mack B. We are still on the road, still campaigning, still grinding, still growing, still building. I got a special guest today. We are live from the Phase 1 Elite headquarters in Las Vegas, Nevada. I got my big homie Mike Waters in the building, man. What's up, family? How you feeling, man?
Everything good, man. I'm good. Talking about big homie. You the big homie, man. You the OG.
Welcome to
I'm
the
just
show.
trying to figure it out.
Hey, man, it's good to see you, man. And
Yeah,
I know
you as
we've been
well.
trying to make this happen for
Yeah,
a minute, so we finally are making it happen. I'm excited, man, and you are definitely putting a big impact on the youth, even the young adults when it comes to sports and nutrition and fitness, and we're going to touch on that briefly. But before we get there, let's talk about your days as an athlete, Mike, and you played, and I know you went to school at UNLV. Take our viewers through the process of you as an athlete, not only in high school, but making that transition into college and the challenges associated with that, man.
Yeah. It was a lot, man. And kind of going back, I'll go back to high school, right?
Yeah.
So coming out of high school, I had a couple scholarship offers. You know, I played running back, was pretty solid at that. Didn't qualify academically. So
Okay.
that was the first, big letdown. As a 17-year-old, you excited, all your boys is going to college. Everybody talking about I'm committed here and I'm going there, and you got money on the table, but you can't sign the paper because you didn't qualify academically. So that was rough, man. So immediately after high school, I did graduate, and then I took a year, man. And I just say I took a year off, but in reality, I took a year doing everything I wasn't supposed to do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was smoking and drinking and kicking it and just out, kind of lost. I feel
Right.
like football was my relationship. That was like my girlfriend that I've been with since I was 7 years old, and now it was over. So I really was lost for that year, man. And luckily, at the end of that year, I just had the desire to play football again. And I hit one of my old coaches. I'm like, man, I missed the game. I want to play. He's like, well, go to a junior college. So I went to Mount Sac down in Southern California. 2 years there, got my AA degree, and then I transferred to UNLV. And that was the start of my Division I career. So ultimately, I still got there because that was always my original goal, was to play Division I football. But I took the long route. You know what I mean?
Right.
I took the long route.
Okay, and on that route and on that journey, who helped keep you grounded? Who was your foundational piece that kind of just settled you in and kept you focused when you did make the transition from the JC to UNLV?
Yeah, I think it was the first person pops up in mind is one of my big homies. His name is Leon Youngblood. That's my guy. And the reason I say that is because he showed up at a pivotal point, right? So my oldest brother was one of the bigger drug dealers in the little Pasadena area for years.
Wow.
Leon, who was one of his younger boys, was also selling dope, right?
Okay.
So here's the ironic part is that year I told you that I kind of like took off and was just doing whatever, I started selling weed. Leon found out, picked me up, got me in the car and was like, I heard you sell weed. I'm like, oh no, I'm just trying to make some extra money. He like, nah, you're not gonna make no extra money. You an athlete and you're not like us, so I'm not gonna let you be like us. And I said, okay, well, I'm like, you doing it? Like, how you telling me?
Right.
And I know the car we in
Yeah.
came from what we talking about. So luckily, man, he did this to me. He said, all right, what you need the money for? I was like, man, I just want to buy some shoes, little stuff, you know what I mean? Take a little chick. I just wanted the basic stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, cool. How about I just give you the money you need? And from that day on, he paid for my gym membership, paid for my cleats, my little protein supplements at GNC. He did it all. He basically took me under the wing because he was like, you have potential, and I can't watch you do this. And so I give him probably, majority of the credit because that was just a pivotal time where I could have kept going that direction.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I didn't, man, and I really owe him a lot, for that experience and him taking the time. I mean, he used to let me drive his cars to the little house parties and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? He became like my big homie.
Right.
But the opposite of most situations where usually your big homie wants you to do what they do.
Right.
And he was like, no, if I find out you selling anything, me and you we gonna have to see each other.
Okay.
And so it went a whole different direction, man, and I owe him to this day.
That's a great story, man, because nowadays, even in the past, a lot of cats, they succumb to the streets because they don't have a mentor. They don't have somebody to come in and kind of help guide them on the straight path, and they go sideways. So, and by the way, that last name Youngblood, that's a cold name right there, man.
Yeah, he's certified.
With a name like that,
He's
man, you got to
certified.
be doing some big
Yeah,
things,
he's
man.
certified.
So shout out to him, man.
Hey.
Hopefully he can watch this show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he
definitely,
will.
you still talk to him now?
No, he's still doing his thing, man. Good. He not on that mission no more.
Yeah.
But he's doing real good, man. He's done a great job. He raised a couple kids that are doing great. So he's He's a stand-up dude, and he's still doing good. He actually a part, I'm not sure which one. He'll kill me for not knowing, but he does drag cars. So
Okay.
he comes out to Vegas a couple times a year for the track up there, and he has a highly rated drag car. I don't know the names and the conferences and all the stuff, but that's what he's doing, man. That's his passion, and he good dude. Still close to this day.
That's outstanding, man. I'm glad to hear that you guys are still connected. That's a beautiful thing. Wow.
Yep.
And when you first got in the game, you know, I don't know how much business acumen you had in college, or did you understand the fundamental pieces of creating a business? Obviously, you were smart. Did you have any help building phase one from the ground up, or was it really just you just grinding in the trenches?
It was bootstrap. It was just grinding. My parents, and let me package this the right way. My mom had a boarding care home where she took care of mentally ill adults.
Okay.
My dad was a truck driver. So they were both entrepreneurs at heart.
Yeah.
However, they were, the old school entrepreneur, just work till it's over.
Pops was on the road a lot.
Pops was on the road, you know what I mean? So it was entrepreneurship, but it wasn't my version of it, meaning it wasn't structured, it wasn't employees and staff and all that. I just learned the work ethic.
Yeah.
So when I came in, I just applied the work first. And then as I started figuring it out, I ran into a business advisor named Anna Seifert. And Anna was the first one, I would say, as far as business, I owe her everything when it comes to business and where I am today.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I walked in Anna's office. I'll make a long story short. It took me a month to get this appointment. She was the director of the Nevada Micro Enterprise, so part of the SBA program.
Okay.
So I get this meeting. I sit down with Anna at her desk. She's like, all right, cool. Story sounds great. Where's your business plan? I was like, I mean, it's in my head.
Yeah. What you mean? I got it right here.
It's in my head. I just told you my business plan. She's like, so she gave me old school. She gave me a disc. She's like, put this in on your computer. It's going to walk you through. It's like a template to do a business plan, competitive analysis, all the competitions. So everything's in this business plan.
Right.
I spent about a month putting this thing together, all the research. Back then it wasn't no AI. So I couldn't just be like, give me a competitive analysis on, you know what I'm saying? So I had to really go read and learn.
Yeah.
So long story short, I finished this thing. I go to Kinko's. I print it out on the good paper.
Oh, yeah.
You pay the extra 50 cents.
The card stock.
Man, what? Yeah. And then she put it in a little folder for me. It was smooth.
Yeah.
I walked in there, boom, set it on the table. She spent it around. I was like, oh, this is nice. She flipped through it. Okay, looks good. Yep, I love it. She took it out the little binder. I was like, okay, good. Shredded it in half.
What?
I said, what? Okay, I don't understand. She said, I'm teaching your first business lesson. Nothing ever goes the way you plan it.
Damn.
I said, huh?
After all that work.
I said, you done shredded it in front of me.
Right.
Bro, but it made sense to me. Even though I was confused, I'm 24 years old, 23, 24, whatever, and I'm confused.
Right.
But it made sense because in business, I think we plan everything to go a certain way. And then when it doesn't, we quit or we get defeated or we feel like it's a loss or we need to change something. I think she was just on day zero. I won't even call it day one.
Yeah.
Day zero, she was making it clear that you could plan it all you want. You can lay it all out. You can have all your numbers, your projections for the next 3 years and all that stuff. But it might not go the way you planned it. What are you going to do then? And I think that was her first test, man. And from that moment on, me and her spent the next 5 years, boy, I was underneath her wing. Like she couldn't do nothing without me involved. I took the whole 12-week course, then set in on the next courses. I understood fitness, training, football, sports, recruiting. I didn't understand business.
Right.
So I just dove in.
Right. Talk to me about the vision behind Phase One Elite and where you started, because that was a while ago. The journey in terms of what you've encompassed and you've been able to create up until now. Walk our viewers through that process, how you've impacted these athletes and, challenges along the way, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a different time now.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
With social media,
NIL
stuff. So kind of explain that whole, vision behind all that.
Yeah. So when I started Phase One, the tagline was simple: help athletes get to the next level.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. So I started with events, camps, clinics, things like that are basically just for exposure. And what happened is I started getting a lot of colleges' attention to come and recruit Las Vegas.
Okay.
Right? I started getting them. They was flying in from my camps and doing all that stuff. But they weren't signing the kids like I thought they should, as far as scholarships. So one coach, luckily, he sat me down. While I bugged him. I called him 100 times.
Yeah.
And he finally called me back. And the reason I called because I was trying to get him to buy this package that I had put together for $500 with all the kids' information in it. It was like a recruiting guide. Here's all the Las Vegas kids. $500, you get it. Phone number, email, transcripts, everything was in these packages. And he called me back and he was like, Mike, I just wanted to let you know personally, because you're very persistent, that I'm not going to be buying the package. And I was like, okay, no, I understand. I said, can you tell me why? He said, well, Vegas kids aren't developed. There's not a lot of talent there. And so the one or two kids in the Valley, we already know, so there's no need for us to buy anything with a bunch of kids' names. I'm like, huh? I'm like, well, how do you come to this conclusion? Because you got to recruit. He's like, well, look at their numbers. Look at their 40. Look at their vert. Look at all their statistics. Look at how they match up. And then compare that to California, Florida, Texas, everywhere else, and tell me why we need to know every kid in Vegas. And I was like, oh. So that next week, I started training athletes. We got to get your 40 down. We got to get your vertical. Because the next step for me was, I know you got the talent. I know you can play. But until I fine tune it and make it presentable, it wasn't going to happen.
They weren't going to take you seriously.
It wasn't going to take you serious. So I started doing that. And then the numbers started going crazy. We started going to the Nike combines in LA and dominating. Like top 10 performers, I would have 6 of them on there. And we were just going crazy, and all the scholarships started going crazy. And then that's when the real growth started happening. That's when the Brandon Marshalls came through.
Right.
DJ Campbell, another NFL. Philip Payne, another NFL. Lawrence Guy, another NFL player. That's when they just started running. And now it got to the point where when I started phase 1, there was about 7 or 8, I say maybe max of about 9 scholarships a year coming out of Southern Nevada. And this is for the whole Valley. At our peak, which I'm not even sure what it's at today, but at our peak, we were up to like 37.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I do take some pride in that because I played a big role in that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that was kind of the early journey. And then we turned it into multiple locations and phase 1 Hawaii, and we just kind of kept expanding and kept growing. But phase 1 Elite is just basically 20 years of experience rolled into one facility that provides everything an athlete needs to get to the next level.
Right, and I love the vision behind it, and I love the story. Tell me about, like, how young of an athlete can come and get involved in phase 1, up to what point, you know, for people that are watching the show. Break that down in terms of age and things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, it's so 2 sides to it, right? We have our performance side here at our location. We start at 12.
Okay.
I have a couple, I've had 1 or 2 10, 11-year-olds that are just ready. You know, some of them they just got it.
Ahead of their time.
You know what I mean? They just, like, come on in, you good. But 12 is usually where I like to start, which is usually pushing right into that 6th grade kind of window.
Right.
6th, 7th, 8th grade to me are the development years. Those are the years that I love to get athletes
Critical.
Because now we can talk about the mental development, push them, teach them work ethic, discipline, character, goal setting. We teach all that along with the performance training.
Right.
So that's 12, you know, and then by the time they get to high school, of course, now we're really narrowing down the recruiting. You know, are you trying to play Division I, Division II? What's your GPA? You know, test scores. Now we're starting to dive deep. So that goes all the way through high school. So to answer your question, training would be 12. And then usually around 7th, 8th grade, we start our development, which is all of our sports marketing, which is teaching kids the right things to do to get a scholarship, how to get exposure, how to communicate with colleges. So that program, whether you're in Las Vegas or not, it's available to any athlete in the country. Any athlete and any parent that's saying, my kid wants to play a college sport, that's what that program's for. Because we're gonna develop and walk you through the entire process, from emailing coaches, how to use social media properly,
right?
How to create and edit your highlight film, how should the film look, what order should the plays be in. Like, we're teaching you every single step along that route, man. And that's the program I love. I mean, I love them all, but I love that one the most because
right.
It's really teaching them a lot more than recruiting, even though that's how it's packaged.
Right. And I love the concept behind it, man, because it's so much more than just athleticism and working out. It's the mental, the emotional, and the psychological component, because you've seen this, right? There's a lot of kids, they've got it. On the field, they've got it. But maybe up here, there may be some psychological or some emotional trauma from the past, right? 100%. I'm sure you've seen that, right? And a lot of people don't tap into that. So this is what I love about your program, because it goes far beyond just the physical and the athletical nature of the athlete, right?
It has to. Yeah, it has
Talk
to.
more about that.
I mean, and you hit it on the head. That's the gap. right? Because even performance trainers. So, and this is how I knew. I realized this not that long ago. I wish I could tell you I realized this day one. My earlier years, I was just big brother mentor.
Right.
So I was diving in mentally, spiritually, physically, and I didn't really know it. I was just doing what I was 26, they were 15. So it was like little brother. I would still have my cleats on, you know, working out with them and doing all the stuff. So that was different. But then as I got older, a few years back, I realized that it's an area that's underdeveloped in all athletes of all ages. This.
Absolutely up here.
Right? And so, and then what I did just to, you know, concrete the thought, I hit all the trainers I knew. I'm talking about good trainers. I'm talking about trainers that's dope, done trained everybody.
Right.
I said, hey man, how many days a week do so-and-so train? Oh, they train 5 days a week. We do this, we do that. Okay, cool. I said, how many days do y'all do mental training? Like any mental work or mental coach or sports psychology? They like, nah, what you mean? I'm like, do y'all ever stop and do any mental training, any mental coaching? They like, oh no, we do some mental like while we working out. I said, no, I get that. But like, do you make it an emphasis to actually develop it mentally? Right. And the answer was 100% nobody. So that's what gave me the idea, like, I got to start doing these workshops. I got to start putting them in the classroom and teaching them about goal setting, teaching them about mindset, teaching them about, you know, visualizations. To this day, I promise you, especially in the football, basketball, baseball realm, I guarantee you we're one of the only programs where when we do our Saturday workouts outdoors on the hills, when we get done, we do a full visualization session right there on the grass. And I can assure you there's not many people doing that in the country. And everybody that's listening should be doing it. So I'm saying that meaning at it, not it's proprietary to what we're doing. And it's crazy because how many times has a 15, 16, 17-year-old athlete laid there, closed their eyes, and actually visualized them being great? Visualize them on the court, on the field. Visualize the amount of work, you know, the kind of mama mentality. They don't.
Manifesting.
They just going through it.
Right.
They're doing their best, but they're not sitting down. They're not laying in bed staring at the ceiling with their eyes closed, thinking to themselves, oh, I can't wait till I go to the NFL. Right. They're not. But we know it works. Yeah. But why they're not doing it? They don't know. Yeah. So it's big. Gotta do
all
it.
y'all watching the show, take notes because my man is definitely producing some heavy game for y'all. And don't be afraid to implement some of these techniques. And that's huge, man, because, you know, I played football. I never got to that next level either, man. But I know there's a lot of like psychological and emotional components and factors that do contribute on the field. Now, it can be to your detriment or it could be to your benefit. Depending upon where you are up here.
100%.
And the society that we live in now with the bullying and the whole social media and the clickbait, I mean, talk to me about those challenges with some of the younger athletes that you work with and how you can kind of keep them guided, right? Because, you know, the phone is just literally attached to the hip nowadays. And it's hard. It's a
hard.
big thing in terms of distraction. How do you deal with that? Tell me what you do.
The biggest thing is the athletes we work with directly, we teach them how to use social media. Right. And so here's another little secret that I use. Anytime you can get a young athlete to tell you what they're committed to, meaning their goal, if I get a 13-year-old that tells me I want to play in the NBA, okay, cool. Are you willing to do what it takes? Yes. From that point on, our conversations are different.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Because you look at them differently.
Yeah, because you told me. I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Your dad didn't tell me. You said you wanted it. Right. So now I can go to your social and be like, what are you doing? What is this?
You can hold them accountable.
They can be like, yeah, you're right. Or I can say, hey, we're going to use social, but here's how we going to use it. We're going to get you some clips in here training. When you go out to the court and get your shots up, we're going to put a little bit of that on there. We're going to take a picture of your little food because you're eating good, you're learning how to eat, and we're going to use social media to our advantage.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I don't care. If you at the party, okay, I don't think you should be there, but if you are there, we're not going to post that we're there. We're not going to do this, and then you got somebody right behind you drinking in the background, and now look, you just a part of it. But I don't drink. I get that. But what a college coach see? He see you at the party, and he see an alcohol bottle right there. So he's not going to say, I'm sure he didn't have a drink of that. He's not. He's just going to associate you with what's going on. So I teach them from that perspective versus the restrictive perspective. You know what I mean? I think sometimes kids are combative. So if you just tell them, I don't want you on social media, you can't be on it, they kind of go like, why? And everybody else is on it. But when you teach them how to do it, it makes it more of a business and takes away a little bit of the mess that's in there. And so far it's helped pretty good. Some of them I got to mess with. Some of them I still
are
see
more
some stuff
challenging than
where I
others.
got to send them the message like, bro, oh, you right, I'm going to delete it. You know what I mean?
They don't think you watching, but you always got eyes.
Oh, man, always,
Right.
you know, God working, so he going to figure out a way for me to see it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but no, it's big right now, though. Social media is crazy.
Right, right. And you know, also, you know, we're in the age of NILs, you know, name, image, likeliness. That's a foundational piece to a lot of these younger athletes. And I'm happy to see it. I honestly believe, I wish it would have been done way, way back when we were playing, right?
Man, what?
You know,
I'd have
and I
some
wasn't
seed
that
money.
household name or anything, but I could have got me a
got a
little
couple
something.
dollars.
You know what I mean? Talk to me about the creation of NIL.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, and how are you facilitating, implementing that into the Phase 1 Elite program?
Yeah, so I think, and you're right, that's the number one, that's the buzzword right now, NIL, everything is NIL. And a lot of parents are reaching out saying, you know, how could I get my son an NIL deal? How could I get my daughter an NIL deal?
Yeah.
So the first thing that I do is I let them know that the NIL deal is basically a result of the work that your kid is already doing, right? So here's what I mean by that. If your kid has a successful recruiting campaign, like they're out, they're going to college visits, you know what I mean? They're learning how to communicate with college coaches. They're on social media showing they work out and their commitment to the sport. You know, they can show their little swag and all that here and there too, but they're showing who they are as a person, the character. They're, you know, going up, doing community service. They feeding home. They doing just stuff that good kids do.
Yeah.
And you document that, you're already building your NIL profile. You just don't realize it because you're thinking it comes with a bag every time you do something, and it doesn't. It comes with building a brand first. When you build the brand, then the bag comes behind it, right? Because what athletes don't realize, NIL is just basically you're a celebrity and they're paying you for your status, right? So if they're doing that, it's a reason Tom Cruise does a movie and gets whatever, 20, 40 million.
Right.
And then this extra in the back corner made $500.
Right.
It's the level of their status. So if you're building your brand, you're a good kid, good athlete, you're respectable, you showing people your journey, you got your diehard fans that love you, your friends know your mission is to play college, you're building that brand. And if you build that over time, you'll be in a position to get that NIL deal. And we teach you how to do it, but you got to get there first. We can't put the cart before the horse. You got to build the brand, and then we go get the bag.
Right.
No brand, no bag.
Hey, I love it. No brand, no bag. I love
Straight
it.
up, it is what it is. Hey,
You
ain't
gotta
my
have
rule.
this to get that.
It's not my rule.
Yeah, you know, I feel you, man. I feel you. Talk to me about, you know, there's so many different talented athletes, you know, not only here in Nevada, but really across the country.
For sure.
From, you know, volleyball, baseball, basketball. Does Phase 1 Elite basically open its doors to any athlete in terms of regardless of the sport that they're doing? I would say, with the exception of golf, I don't know if you even get involved with that.
No, I have a golfer.
Really?
I have a junior golfer right now who's actually on the junior golf circuit, killing it right now.
Killing the game.
She's ranked number 2, I think, in the nation.
What's her name?
We work all of Gianni.
Shout out Gianni.
What's Gianni's last name? I'll get it. I'll put it in there. But
Yeah.
she's dope in golf wise. I've had a couple golfers.
Okay.
Not a lot, obviously,
Yeah.
but I've had a handful. But we work with athletes all sports. I mean,
Swimmers, volleyball.
swimmers, volleyball. Right now, volleyball is probably our number one client here at
Really?
Phase 1 Elite. Is probably volleyball. All the girls you saw training in here today, those are all volleyball girls.
Wow.
So we do big in volleyball. Soccer's pretty big too. And then, of course, football, basketball. Baseball is okay. We have a handful, not a tremendous amount, but yeah, baseball players are trickling in as well.
Right, right. And obviously, you know, you started this from the ground up, but as you grow and create the foundational environment, it takes a team, right, to make this happen. Talk to me about not only what you're doing, but the team that you brought in to assist you with the operations.
Yeah, I mean, it's start to finish, man. I mean, and this is something that I think I waited too long to do.
Okay.
You know, is build out a team.
Yeah.
Right? Because in business, I think when you start it the way I started it, you get accustomed to doing everything. I'm the marketing person, the salesperson, the head trainer, you know what I mean? I'm all the titles. So I think it did take me personally too long, but I've gotten way better now. So now just even in my Phase 1 operation, I got Jonathan Jones, who's my director. He kind of oversees it all.
Okay.
He's also a bookkeeper, accountant, so he does all the numbers and makes sure all the payments and all that stuff is good. So that way I don't have to spend a lot of time on that. I just spend time with him to discuss the numbers and go over everything. So he does good. We have a front desk manager, Felicia, who just kind of oversees the day-to-day operation, the check-ins, the payments, the inventory, all that type of stuff. Then on the training side, I have Chris, who is my head trainer. So Chris is the first trainer in a long time that I've handed the keys to from a training perspective. So right now I don't do any training at all. I'm not hands-on in the training with athletes, but Chris is dope, and he's an all-in trainer, meaning he don't want no business. He don't want to open a gym. He just wants to be the best trainer in the world, period.
Right.
And so it's really showing in his results. And then we get to the social media side. I have Natasha, who helps with coordinate like all the branding stuff, all the social media. And then I have Patrick PT, who's a video, he does all the video, all the edits, keeps everything tight. So that way we always have a strong social media presence. So that kind of keeps it all going. And it, like I said, it took me a long time. I'm glad I did it because that was everything I used to do.
Yeah.
And so you wonder why your growth. Yeah, and then you look at your growth and you're like, man, I'm stagnant. Well, you're stagnant because you're not spending your energy on the right things. You're doing everything where you need to figure out what's the right thing. What moves the needle. That's what you should be spending your time on. So I'm just learning all that. This is all new. So check with me in a couple years. I should be good.
No, I love it, man. I love the direction. And you know, we took a tour earlier of the facility, man, and you know, it's more than just the actual training component. You know, you've got a kitchen in there where they can make the protein shakes. You basically have a classroom environment where you talk about, you know, muscle memory and protein and how that factors into their development, nutrition. How often do you offer that classroom setting in terms of just teaching them other fundamentals besides the actual training itself?
Yeah, usually I would say probably about, for a bigger event, once a quarter, we do a bigger event. My academy athletes, they get it pretty consistently. We're probably in here once or twice a month, classroom setting, whiteboard, really like putting together some details. And there with the academy, we also do where they have homework assignments. So they have to go home and create the goals and come back and present them in front of the class. So we're really doing that because public speaking is also one of the pillars that we teach. So we do it in that form to where, for example, if a guest speaker comes in, speaks to the athletes on Monday, they have a week. So next Monday, they got to get in front of the class and actually talk about what they learned from Mack B or from whoever the speaker was. You know what I mean? So we just do that consistently with them, but with everyone. This Saturday, actually, we're having a scholarship and NIL workshop here.
Dope.
So right now we got about 90, I think it was 92 people registered as of this morning.
Wow.
So that'll be definitely a great, 90-minute session of everything it takes to get a Division I scholarship. Everything we've been talking about today, from character to film to communication, all of it is going to be wrapped up in that time, and then a Q&A at the end for parents. So,
are you overseeing that?
I'm doing it. Yeah, okay. I'm probably going to speak 95% of that 90 minutes on my experience and what I know to be true in recruiting. You know what I mean? That's the difference, man. I've been doing this so long, and things have changed, but I know the rules. And parents typically don't know the rules. And that's where I come in, is to bridge that gap. I tell people, I've been doing this 20 years now. I went through a recruiting process in high school, went through recruiting in junior college, and now 20 years been helping others. So I'm gonna have more experience than you with your first son or your first daughter that you think has the potential, and now you're gonna try to figure it all out. No, you gotta lean on people like me and say, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to know? And that's where I think the gap is. The parents that get it. And then there's other parents that just try to do it themselves and figure it all out. And then at the last minute, everyone's scrambling, trying to figure out what happened. And it's typically that. You didn't build it. You got to build it.
And part of, building business is growth, right?
Yeah.
And talk to me about the Phase 1 operations in Hawaii, because I know you've got another location over there.
Yeah.
I know you go out there periodically. How did that situation come about in Hawaii? And let's touch on some of those athletes out there on the island and what they've been able to do in terms of contributions.
Yeah, for sure. So that started in my earlier Phase 1 years here. I had an athlete named CJ Siniza. And he was a Hawaiian, Polynesian athlete, real good athlete. So I did some good work with him as far as training. He was now getting recruited. He was going into the whole couple offer kind of thing. And his uncle, I met at a Super Bowl party at his house, at CJ's house. Nice. So I met his uncle. Uncle's named Paul. Paul at the time lived here. So Paul was just impressed, like, man, what you doing with my nephew? He's gained 20 pounds. He's this, he's that. And I'm like, yeah. And I told him about Phase 1, and he was just impressed by it. Fast forward, he ended up moving back to Hawaii. Every year for about 3 to 5 years, he would send me an email at the beginning of every year. It was almost like he had it on the calendar or something. Beginning of every year, he'd
Right
be
on
like,
time.
we're almost ready to open phase 1 out here. And I would always reply like, all good, when you're ready, let me know. By about that 4th, 5th year, he was like, I'm ready. I was like, oh snap, you serious? And so I flew out there, man. He showed me around. We talked about the athletes, got to watch some athletes play, and it felt just like Vegas, meaning a lot of talent, a lot of undeveloped talent, just raw, a lot of size, a lot of strength, but just not the development. And so I'm like, I think you own something. And that was, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years ago now, something like that. And so now we have phase 1 Hawaii with the performance training, just like we have here.
Yeah.
And then we also just recently took over a league in Maui. So we have a sports league in Maui as well. So phase 1 Hawaii is in Oahu. And then on Maui Island, we have the league where we do more like youth sports and soccer, football, or excuse me, not soccer, but basketball and football.
Okay, I've never been to Hawaii, by the way. Y'all watching the show?
Well, you gotta
There's
go,
no
man.
excuse, man.
Let's get it.
Next time y'all got something happening, man.
Yep,
Give me
straight
a
up.
reason to go. Come on,
I'm
dog.
gonna give it to you. We're gonna do the live from Maui.
Yeah, we got to do that, man. And
Straight up.
shout out to the whole Polynesian community, by the way, the Samoans, the Tongans, and I don't know what the percentages are over there, but I know there's a lot of athletes that come out of there of that descent. So shout out to them and that community in terms of building that up.
100%.
Speaking of building things up, I heard you went to Dallas, man, and your 7-on-7 squad balled out and finished in 6th, right, in the nation.
Yeah,
so
we finished 6th seed at that tournament, which was about 20, 25 of the best teams in the country.
Wow.
We went out there. We shocked them a little bit. They didn't even know.
They didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, they didn't know. Because,
didn't know.
And in their defense, when you look at the rosters, they did have more quote-unquote D1 players and more offers.
Okay.
And, we had ours. We had our handful out of our 25 boys. We probably had 6 or 7 that had multiple offers. So we were there. But I think when we got on the field and they saw that competitiveness and our athletes made it very clear that we can play with anybody. We don't care where you're from. Then I think it put a little spotlight on us. So hopefully we're waiting right now. I think they have one more regional, and then we'll find out if we made it to nationals. So it goes by your seeding. So hopefully we get that seeding, and then we get that national bid, and then we can really go out there and make some noise and kind of mess up their whole little game plan.
Right. Well, you already making noise.
Oh,
I mean,
we already.
just to go to Dallas and do what you did, man. I know you hella proud of the squad, and that was football, right?
Yeah, that was 7v7.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 7v7 football, which is basically one of the biggest recruiting hubs now for high school football.
Right.
All the skill players.
So they were all teenage age?
Yeah, they were all high school players. Yeah,
Okay.
all of them were juniors or younger. Yeah, because once you're a senior, you kind of age out of that. But it's basically the best players in the nation. If you go to 24/7 top 150 in the country, they're gonna all be at them tournaments playing in 7-on-7. Yes.
Now, was this your first invite on that level?
First invite to that one, to OT7, which is right now the largest one. It's been about 2, maybe 3 seasons since we were ranked this high.
Wow.
2-3 seasons ago, we were top 10 as well, and we got the invite to the Adidas Nationals, and so we've had a few good teams over the years, but we were a little quiet the last 2, and then this team made some noise, and what's even scarier is about 70% of the team are underclassmen, so they all coming back.
Wow.
So next year when we show up, we're going to have the boom box with it playing real loud.
Y'all gonna be beasting, man.
We walking in.
Yeah.
Every good team has their theme music.
Right.
We walking in with a boom box.
Right.
So we own next year for sure.
Right. Talk to me about the relationship with these athletes, who primarily were younger, maybe a few years back. You work with them. They've made it to the next level. Maybe they're in the WNBA, like a Ray Burrell or Brandon Marshall. Shout out to him, Super Bowl champion. Right. Talk to me about the relationship when they first came through the doors, right? And how you've been able to still connect with them now.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon, I think, is a pretty good example of start to finish in a sense.
Yeah.
Because Brandon walked in sophomore year at Cimarron High School right here in Vegas.
He's from Vegas, right?
Yeah, right here in Vegas. He was at one of our original Phase 1 locations. He walked in, nothing special, and he's heard me tell this story, so it wasn't nothing about him that we were like, this is the next guy. He was just a hard-working kid.
Right, he was a grinder.
You know what I mean? Mom was awesome. I love Mom. In those earlier years, she was a little tight financially, So we worked it out to where Brandon, you know, it got to the point where he wasn't even worried about payment or nothing, just show up.
Yeah.
Because he just was a hard-working kid, and he really wanted to get to the next level. So by his junior year, he had a good junior year, and that was the first time anybody really paid attention. Like, okay, who is this kid? You know, he was already long armed, so he was already built well. He was
fast.
about 6 feet, 6'1" in. He was fast, played running back most of his life, then switched to linebacker, so he was a little more athletic on that side than most linebackers. We did the whole recruiting thing. I remember editing his highlight video and all that stuff, and we started sending it out. And we had 2 scholarship offers, Nevada, Reno, and Colorado State, I think it was.
Okay.
And I remember we sat down. I think I was there for the Reno visit when the coach came down, or one of the 2 I was there. And then I sat with the family. We did pros and cons. Like, what's the pros and cons for each one? And then I left the house and told, hey, y'all let me know which one you're picking. And he picked Nevada, Reno. And he ended up going up to Reno, had a great career up there. Every offseason, he was back in phase 1 training.
Love it.
Doing the thing. You know, we were texting and talking the whole time. I made a bad bet when his first year at Reno, because I didn't think he was going to start as a freshman. I didn't think he was going to play as a freshman. I just didn't think so.
Right.
It was just my own little thing.
He had a plan, though.
Bro, we had this bet. He hit me. I feel like he set me up. He must have knew. He said, hey, man, we got UNLV coming up. You coming to the game? I'm like, yeah, of course I'm coming to that game. He's like, all right, cool. So if I start, would you wear a Nevada Reno jersey to the game? I was like, man, if you start, I'll wear the jersey to the game.
Right.
This boy started. I'm sitting there looking like an idiot.
And that's your alma mater, right?
Alma mater. And
Right.
what I got lucky, he didn't have a jersey, so he gave me a Nevada Wolfpack t-shirt. And
Okay.
I wore the shirt at the game.
Right.
I felt so stupid. All my boys like, what are you doing? I'm like, my athlete, Brandon, we had a bet. But, hey, I loved him, though. And that's what it was about. It gave
Did he
him
ball out that game?
He went crazy that game. I think he had 9, 10 tackles. I mean, he was all over the field.
Nice.
And it was clear because he had a vengeance, I think, against UNLV, which rightfully so, because that was my alumni. I was still close with the coaches up there, and they didn't give
him the time of day.
They never offered, and we couldn't understand it. And then when Nevada Reno offered, we like, of course they're gonna offer now. They didn't offer, and it was just one of those things where it's just like, I don't understand it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, you know, it is what it is. But so continue that story. He balled out there. I was at his house for the draft party, which, you know, draft coming up here quick. So I was at his house for that. And that was a great experience, just him and the family. He went late, I want to say 6th round. I might be making that up. But he went late, you know, late round. He wasn't
Right.
top 3. You know, he wasn't in there, but he went. He got the call. Jacksonville Jaguars picked him up, drafted him. Went out there, did okay, got cut, sent home. Ended up getting cut maybe 2 times, 2, maybe 3. Landed in Denver on the practice squad. He tells the story obviously way better than me, but was doing some good stuff on scout team, and Peyton Manning was one of the first people to go in the office and say, hey, man, we got to look at this Brandon Marshall kid because he's over here causing problems against our starting O.
Right.
And they brought him up, man, and he never looked back. Captain of the D, Super Bowl champ,
I
all
love
that.
it. I love it.
And we even right now, I'm coaching him. I'm his business coach now, and he's opening a restaurant here literally in the next few months.
Okay.
So so we still tight.
Well, Brandon, I love to eat, so
we're gonna do it.
Hey, y'all tap in with your boy at Sports High. We'll come document that whole thing.
Yep,
So
straight up.
yeah,
Straight
in
up.
Vegas, right?
Yeah, it's right here. Yep.
Name of the spot, or you don't know?
I gotta look at my phone because it's
We'll throw that in
it's a
there.
chain coming from Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Hattie Mae.
Hattie Mae. Shout out to Hattie Mae.
Yep.
I love the name already.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to say Hattie Mae's. If I'm messing that up, forgive me, B. But you know they're gonna do the research.
Right.
But yeah, that's what it is though. And he's opening that. They just broke ground recently.
Nice.
So he's a few months out, but when that opens, man, he's excited about it. It's like a new mission for him. So he's doing good.
That's dope, man. That's dope. In addition to Brandon, and shout out to him, a champion, who else have you implemented, you know, created that development, and now they're on the next level, but they still come tap in with you at phase 1?
I mean, there's a couple now, like Ray you mentioned earlier.
Ray Burrell.
Yeah, Ray, who's probably one of my favorite athletes, man.
Right.
Ray is just a ball of energy, man. I was actually just talking earlier because she just went back to camp.
LA
with the
Sparks, right?
Yeah. They signed her on a 2-year deal.
Nice.
So they took care of her this time around, which was great.
Yeah.
Because last year they was acting a little weird, but that's a whole nother story. But they locked in, so we got 2 years out of it.
Right.
But she's an energy person.
Okay.
Ray is the one that her not training in her group at 11 o'clock in the morning, you could sense the energy change.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because she's just a fight. She gonna talk trash. She gonna play around, but she gonna be working.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about her, man. So she's one of my favorite right now. All right, so we're crying.
That's what we do. We bring out the emotions on this show.
Mack B got me emotional.
You know what it is. Talk to me about, the future of Phase One Elite, because to me, I mean, you're doing just, groundbreaking things right now, but sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to, implement into the program that you haven't done?
Yeah, actually, right now we're in the process. We're actually going to launch it this week. Our Phase One Elite sports marketing brand.
Nice.
So we're transitioning now to where the same type of consulting and advice that I give my athletes in here on a local level, now we're spreading that out and doing like a bigger coaching program for scholarships and, like I mentioned, NIL, to where now we have the platforms for athletes now where they can do all their profile, all their images, send information to colleges. We have another profile now where you can do a college search and you can find the colleges that match not only your athletic ability, but your academics, to where you can match, hey, I got a 3.2 GPA, so what schools do I qualify for academically? So we're doing that. We're going into social media, of course, branding, and we're doing it now with the perspective that you enter this program, you have direct access to me, and we're going to be on a call every single week. And so all those questions and things that come up throughout the process of recruiting, you got somebody with 20 plus years experience right on your hip.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's what we're doing. And like I said, it's what I've been doing for years, but now we're really taking it and making it to where it's available or accessible to everyone. So anybody listening to this, for example, you don't have to feel like, man, I got to go to Vegas because I would love to work with this guy. Nope, just reach out and we can get it done right now. I can evaluate your athlete. I'm building a network of trainers in places like this right now, which I have a list of about 40 right now, to where if you call me and you say I'm in Sacramento, I can go to this list and say, here's the 3 places that I like in your area to go get the training.
Wow,
you see what I'm saying? Like, I want to just basically be the
network.
connector,
It's
the
like
network.
a network.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're plugging in wherever you at. We're going to get you to where you need to be.
Right. How can people watching the show find Phase One Elite online? Not only the website, give that information, but social media where they can tap in and kind of support and follow the movement in terms of what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah. So the best way, right off the top, if you're on IG, that's probably where we spend the most time, is at Phase One Elite, and that's the number 1. So PHASE #1 Elite. And then my personal one is Mike Waters Official, spelled just like it sounds, Mike Waters Official. And then the website, phase1elite.com, Twitter, X, whatever it's called nowadays, same thing, at Phase One Elite. But yeah, man, we're an open book, man. I welcome people to, send messages, DM, questions, concern. I'm gonna answer whatever I got, I'm gonna give you. You know what I mean?
Right. And I love the impact that you're doing, man. It's very inspiring. It's very motivating. That's what we do, with this movement. And speaking of a movement, tap in with Sports Hop Media. You can follow me online at Sports Hop Media, Sports SPORTS, Hop HOP, Media MEDIA. Also at Mack B, MACK, B as in boy, _, X, formerly Twitter, at Sports Hop Media. So it's a movement. We did some big things for the Super Bowl, and we're going to continue to grow and build a relationship. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching Sports Hop. We are officially in the Phase One Elite building. It's your boy Mack B with Mike Waters. Holla.